New cars are more advanced than ever. They come with so many amenities, features, and creature comforts that make them very tempting to spend. But me personally, when I'm buying new, I only purchase base model vehicles. And if you're in the market for a new car, I want to tell you why you should consider a base model version. It's your boy Eddie. Thanks for joining me on this ride today, man. I want to talk about why you should consider buying a base model car, especially if you're buying new. Reason number one is going to have to be simplicity. There's so many different creature comforts out there. I understand a lot of them are appealing, but in my personal opinion, a lot of them don't actually add value to the car. I think we mistake value for features a lot of the times when it comes to cars. And if you think that way, I guess I can't say that you're wrong. I guess people value different things, but to me, those things don't really add any sort of value. Is a heated and ventilated steering wheel cool? Yes, that's extremely cool. But do I need a heated and ventilated steering wheel? No. I like getting a base model car because you really see what you're getting under all the fluff. Because let's be real, at the end of the day, all those things that they add to these cars these days, they're going to be electronic. And the more electronics you have in a car, the more future problems it's going to have later down the road when it's a 5, 10, 12-year-old used car. Now, I guess if you don't keep your cars that long, then it doesn't really matter. But if you're planning on keeping it for the long haul, it definitely does. Cars today are basically rolling computers, which takes me to point number two why you should consider a base model car. Number two, times have changed. Unless you're buying something extremely simple like a base model Mitsubishi Barrage, pretty much any new car you buy in 2025 is going to have way more amenities than a luxury car did 15 years ago. Like back in the day, if you bought a Chevy Tahoe, you would get this tiny little slither of a digital screen. And if you wanted the big, like visual touchscreen that came with the navigation, you couldn't get it even in the top trim Tahoe. You had to go up and get the GMC Yukon just to get that screen. So it made sense to buy a luxury vehicle over like an economy base model car at that time. But now some of those features that we viewed as luxury all those years ago come standard in literally every car. For instance, I'm driving a Kia Sorento right now, and it's a base model Kia Sorento. I literally have like a valet mode where I can turn valet mode on if I'm parking somewhere where I need a valet. They can't play the radio. They can't dig around in any of my stuff. And it even tells me the amount of miles that they drove in valet mode just to let me know if they took my car out for a spin while I was in the restaurant. And that comes in a base model economy vehicle. Cars these days come with lane keep assist, hill descent modes, auto hold so you don't have to keep pressing your brake in traffic, big digital gauge clusters and touch screens. You're literally going to get everything you need, even if you get a base model car, because as time goes on, most of these things that were once luxuries just become the standard. The third reason you should consider buying a base model car over one of the upper trims is there's going to be less dealership games. Ever since the pandemic, pretty much all dealers have started playing these little games with pricing. Don't get me wrong, that's something that's always been a part of the auto industry, but I feel like post-pandemic, it became like pretty much widespread across every automaker. Market adjustments and random dealer packages that they won't tell you about until you come in. I remember I bought my base model Toyota RAV4 LE, and the only thing that it had added to it was like $600 for some window tint and some floor mats and mud guards. Other than that, I got the car at MSRP, and I was actually able to negotiate that dealer add-on package out since they didn't list it in the website. They play a lot less games with base model cars because most base model vehicles are just going to be volume cars for most dealers. If you're going to shop at like a big automotive group, most of the time they're getting paid off the number of units they sell versus just pure profit from each car. So even though they may lie to you and say that they can't lose money on a deal, in reality, their business model is set up so they can lose money on a lot of their lower priced, lower margin base model vehicles so they can make money on the higher trim ones. Which leads me to reason number four, you should be considering a base model over an upper trim. And that's what they call trimflation. But when it comes to your upper trim cars, there's so much added fluff for profit. On a base model vehicle, it may be about $1,200 to $1,500 baked in for the dealer to make money, as to where if they're selling you a top trim vehicle, depending on the automaker and the model of the car, there can be anywhere from $3,500 to like $8,000 in there for a dealer to make money. So there's just so much room between invoice and sale price when it comes to those upper trim vehicles. It used to be a time where buying an upper trim vehicle made sense. Let's look at one of my favorite SUVs that's just like a guilty pleasure SUV. Like, I know it's junk, especially once it gets to higher mileage. Like, I know it's junk, but I just like them. Don't kill me. But the GMC Acadia.
You're going to be heartbroken. You're going to be left stranded. You're going to be your wallet a lot lighter by owning one of those cars.
I know, I know. And just one generation ago, if you were looking at a GMC Acadia, you had two engine options. You had a 4-cylinder and a 6-cylinder. So if you purchase the upper two trims, mainly that Denali, that GMC Denali trim that's really popular with a lot of their vehicles, you would get a V6 engine. And if you purchased anything lower, you would get a 4-cylinder. So purchasing a upper trim actually added value to the vehicle and not just random creature comforts. You could spend the extra money and get that Denali and make it make sense. But now that same vehicle from just one generation ago is 12 inches longer.
Hey, yo!
It's much heavier. Whether you get the highest trim GMC Acadia, which tops out around $63,000, which, I mean, at that point, you're in Tahoe territory. You might as well just upgrade to the Tahoe. Or you get the cheapest base model 2-wheel drive elevation trim that starts at like 43. You're getting the same exact engine no matter what. Everything else is pretty much the same, give or take a few creature comforts like heated steering wheels, leather seats, and some different wheels. My question is the same car that you're purchasing at 62, nearly 63 grand, going to be that much different from the one you're buying at 42? I don't really think so. Now look, if you just have the disposable income and you ain't like me and you got money to blow, that's a whole different thing. If you have the disposable income and you value those creature comforts that come with it, obviously buy it. But me, I'm trying to buy the most value for my buck anytime I buy a vehicle. And for most brands, that is either the base model or like one trim up from the base. All that other stuff typically is fluff. But anyways, that's just my take on it. That's just my opinion. I'd love to know what you think about it down in the comments. Thank y'all for taking this ride with me. It's your boy Eddie. Until next time.